आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We are meeting after a few weeks where for various reasons the class could not be held. But you surely remember that in the last class we had seen the conclusion of the third khanda or section. The third khanda began with the story and the section ended with Indra going to find out who that extraordinary luminous figure called Yaksham was. Kimetad Yakshamiti. While Vayu and Agni had gone, Yaksha spoke to them, put them to a test. They failed the test and they went back much humiliated. When Indra came in front of Yaksha, Yaksha did not even interact with him, did not give him audience. Yaksha did not even stay for a moment. Even as Indra approached Yaksha, Yaksha just vanished. That's how, if you have the book with you, you see the 11th mantra said, Tasmat Tirodadhe. Avirbhava is appearing, Tirodhana is vanishing. Yaksha just vanished. That was like a slap on the face of Indra. But thanks to the greater purity that Indra had, though he did feel bad, very quickly he recovered. He gathered himself. And rather than just going away in anger or in some other negative emotion, he stood there in a prayerful mood. That is when the mantra said in the previous section, Tasminneva Akashe, right there at that very spot where earlier Yaksha was there, Indra came across Striyam Ajagam. He came face to face with a very, very brilliant, bright, very luminous lady figure. And the lady figure was Uma Haimavati. Uma Haimavati in Padabhashya, Uma is regarded as no other than Parvati. But in vākya-bhāshya, Sri Shankaracharya says, we will see that Uma could be another name of Vidya, wisdom. And the word Uma can mean wisdom. And Adi Shankara makes a comment that the Supreme Lord is always accompanied with infinite wisdom. And Uma was wisdom only. Uma does not have to mean Parvati, Shiva's holy consort. Anyway, that is not of much importance to us, who that figure was. But the story proceeds. That's where we will see a little bit in this class. The fourth and the last khanda doesn't have much to add. All the main teachings are pretty much completed. In the fourth khanda, this lady figure, the female figure, answers Indra. Sa Brahma iti uvacha. The lady figure said, you want to know who that Yaksha was? That Yaksha was no other than the Supreme God. You may remember we spent several classes going into the concept of God, concept of Ishvara, where it was said at the beginning, Brahma Shabda here means God and not the absolute reality which is one without a second. When you take Brahma to mean God, God is the ruler and there are the ruled. Ishvara, Jivatmas, countless Jivatmas, and Jagat right away come into the picture. Sa Brahma iti ha uvacha. And that divine female figure also says to Indra, Brahmano va etad vijaye mahiyadvam. All of you got so proud, so arrogant, thinking it is totally your victory. It is what God gave you. Whenever something good happens to us, we must take it as God's grace. Whenever something unpleasant happens, we must take it as God's will. Mahiyadvam Brahmana Vijaye. And Indra thus came to know. Indra's mission was accomplished. So the Upanishad mantra says, Tataha Vidanchakara. Vid means to know. Veda comes from that root. Vidanchakara Brahmeti. Then, couple of mantras, we have not put them into any slide for it is just the concluding remarks of the story. Tasmadva ete devah atitaram iva anyan devan. Ete devah, these three, Indra, Vayu and Agni, they are as though on a much higher plane than all other devas. Why? Agnihi Vayu Indraha Tehi Enat Edishtam Pasparshuhu. They came very close and they almost touched the Yaksha. All others were at a great distance and were afraid. It is also said of them again, Brahma was known by Indra even more closely. Indra got the answer actually. Vayu and Agni returned as puzzled as they were before. Tasmadva Indraha Atitaram iva anyan devan. Indra therefore is regarded much superior to all other devas, devatas. Sahi enat nedishtam pasparsha. He came extremely close to Yaksha. Sahi enat pratamo vidanchakara brahme. This much is just to praise Indra, Vayu and Agni and to bring the story to a conclusion. Now we get into the next part where the Upanishad talks about certain upasanas. So we open the first of the two slides. In the first of the two slides, we give the summary of the present discussion. Shankaracharya explains this, saying, yes, when students are not able to understand Brahma in the clearest way, they should not give up. They should not just say, this is not our cup of tea and go away. They must take something which is within their reach. So here is the slide, one of two. Suppose, and these people are larger in number, suppose certain students are unable to understand Brahma as explained so far. Even in the story, they could not understand much deeply. Then there are some upasanas. So we have a couple of words culled from the original Shānkarabhāshya tasya esha adesha tasya brahmanah upasana upadesha. While the Upanishad itself says tasya esha adesha yadetat vidyuto vyadyutada and so on. The Upanishad just says tasya means brahmanaha, of Brahma, esha adesha. It is Shankaracharya who says it is upasana upadesha. Sometimes just one short sentence by Sri Shankaracharya makes the whole thing clear. Therefore, a scholar in a town called Hasan in Karnataka once said he had studied Advaita, Dvaita, Veda, Vishishtadvaita. He said, historically, Adi Shankaracharya came first, right? Adi Shankaracharya cut the trees, cleared the woods, and made a grand, great path through the forest of Vedic mantras. Vedas are not easy to understand, and Shankaracharya, with his commentary, made Vedas comprehensible, understandable, and the analogy given by that scholar is he made a great, grand, clear road. And after that, 200 years later, Ramanujacharya ran a great chariot on that road, wrote his commentaries, threw more light on the Upanishads. Another 200 years later, Madhvacharya also rode another wonderful chariot. Therefore, the scholar in Hasan, who himself belongs to Ramanujacharya's lineage, admitted the unbelievable, extraordinary service rendered by Sri Shankaracharya. He made the way. Then others' job became much easier. So here we have in the title slide, Tasya Adesha Tasya Brahmanaha Upasana Upadesha. Upasana we have translated it down here as qualified meditation. That is Saguna Dhyana, Sakara Dhyana, and so on. Guna, Akara, that is some qualities, attributes, some form, some shape, some color, etc., are qualifications. The supreme truth is beyond thought, beyond word. This very Upanishad had earlier said, Yan manasa na manute, mind cannot grasp it, mind cannot objectify it. Yad vacha anabhyuditam, speech cannot make Brahma its object. Therefore, the supreme Brahma in its purest form to be understood is not everybody's cup of tea. However, people one notch below or further down can go for some upasana. They thereby prepare themselves for the highest wisdom. So we go to the second slide now, in which we have selected and put certain lines from Shānkarabhāshya. Tasya adesha, tasya means tasya brahmanaha, yesha vakshyamanaha adesha. Vakshyamana means that which will be said. Ukta means what was said. Uchyamana means what is being said. But vakshyamana is what we call future passive participle. What is going to be said? Upasana, upadesha. This is for upasana. Literally, upasana means sitting near. Asana means to sit. Upa means near. What it implies is you think about the supreme truth in a way that is accessible to you. Not in the highest way, which will bestow liberation on you, but in a way that is within your reach. Then the Bhashya continues, Yasmad Devebhyo vidyut iva, like a lightning. Sahasa eva pradurbhutam Brahma dyutimat. Brahma is full of light. After all, it is the principle of consciousness, pure consciousness. It is the light of all lights. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. It's the mantra line from both Kena-Upanishad and Upanishad. Brahma, which is full of effulgence, appeared as Yaksha, like a lightning that for a few seconds has certain brilliance in the sky and then vanishes, maybe not even few seconds. Therefore, those whose capacity is less have to develop a great admiration for Brahma. They may not know what Brahma is, but let them start with a great admiration, just as lightning in the dark sky is terrific. If there is a lightning in the dark sky, everybody looks up at the sky and says, wow, what a wonderful phenomenon this is, and so on. So here we have the Sham. It came, it vanished. So like lightning, this light also sometimes acts like a lightning. So we have, oh, it has gone to the third slide. Okay. Second slide needs to be there. Yeah. Tasmad vidyuto vidyotanam yatha. This is Shānkarabhāshya. The mantra proper says, Tasya isha adesha yadetat vidyuto yadyutat a. That is one upasana. Just as you have a certain awe about lightning, develop adara, pujya bhava, develop adoration, admiration for Brahma. Then, with that, you will be able to let go of your fascination for things of the world. You will develop viragya. You will develop samadhana, ability to concentrate. You will develop all the necessary qualities, shama, dama, uparama, titiksha, shraddha, samadhana. All of them will come with upasana. Today, in modern times, a lot of people have studied Vedanta, but a lot of them, overwhelming majority of them, do not have shama, dama, uparama, and so on. Therefore, upasana is the need of the hour. Those who do upasana prepare their mind for the highest understanding. At the end of the second slide, we have A iti upamartha A shabda. Because the original mantra says, Tasya isha adesha yade tat vidyuto vyadyutad A. That's an A. Adi Shankara does his duty. A is to indicate it is an illustration. Now in the last slide, but I will be covering more portion than what the slides cover. In the last slide we have Shankaracharya himself speaking a little about the glory of lightning. Yatha ghanandakaram vidharya. As though splitting through, as though tearing apart the darkness that is everywhere, lightning sarvataha prakashate. When there is lightning, even though it's for a very small time, everywhere things get illumined. In this way, Brahma, Tad Brahma Devanam Purataha Sarvata Prakashavat Vyakti Bhutam. For a little while, in the form of that Yaksha, Brahma appeared. Therefore, like lightning inspires awe in you, let God inspire awe in you. Have a great feeling for God. And that will help you, as we already said, get rid of worldly tendencies. Then it is also said, Shankaracharya gives a quote from Brahadaranyaka. This Vidyut example is given in Brahadaranyaka too, second chapter, third Brahmana, sixth mantra. Yata sakrut vidyutam iti cha vajasaneyake. Vajasaneyaka is a word that implies Brahadaranyaka Upanishad. Now, in this very fourth mantra of the fourth khanda, there is a second upasana. After saying Yadetat vidyuto vyadyutada, the mantra says Iti it nyamimishat a. Second time a comes. That means second illustration. What is nyamimishat? Anybody, in a moment closes her eyes and opens them. So Shankaracharya comes to our rescue again. Yasmacha Indra Upasarpana Kale. Nyamimishat. Brahma as though in an instant vanished. When you close your eyes, whatever you are seeing is no more visible. When Indra went there, Brahma became invisible. Yaksha became invisible. Yata kaschit chakshur nimeshanam kritavan iti. See, unmeshanam is not mentioned, opening the eyes. Nimeshanam. Ni amimishat. So, nimesha is closing. Unmesha is opening the eyes. Therefore, that quickness, that speed, that agility, again is something you and I appreciate. In any field, if something is done very quickly by somebody, in a couple of years, a poor country is turned into a rich country, let us say. In just a few months, a company that was making losses is turned around to make profits. Then don't people's eyebrows go up? Like that, in the wink of an eye, as the expression goes, Brahma, who came as Yaksha, vanished. Therefore, think of Brahma with a certain admiration. Brahma alone is the fastest, is the most efficient. In the Ishavasya, it is said, Tadejati tannaijati, taddure tadvantike, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha, and so on. And aneja dekam manaso javiyo is said in the Ishavasya. It's faster than the mind, faster than thought. Is this Brahmavastu? Is this Satchid Vastu? And so on. Now, in this mantra, it is said, before that Nyamimishat, if some of you are holding the original Kena-Upanishad in your hand, you find it is Iti Nyamimishada. What is Itit? Itit is made of two words, Iti plus It. Both of them do not have any extra meaning. Anarthako nipato. So it is more as a filler, more as a little decoration. It is more playing some secondary or tertiary role. To the essential teaching, it has nothing to add. Acharya Shankara, as a Bhashyakara's duty is, clarifies. What is that iti plus it, which becomes iti it, then nami mishat combines itin nami mishat. It became. So anarthakau nipatau nimishitavadiva tirobhutamitevam adidaivatam devatayaha iti yad darshanam adidaivatam tat. A scholar who wrote footnotes, however, raised a question. I too would just raise it, will not attempt answering it. Shankaracharya does not explain why closing of the eyes is Adi Daivatam. It should be Adi Adhyatma. You know, Adhidaivatam is far away in the cosmos, in the sky, somewhere uh, in control of gods. I open my eye, I close my eye. It's Adhyatma. Adhyatma begins with the body, mind, speech, senses, our own personality. Therefore, the Tippanikara, Sachidanandendra Saraswati, makes a honest comment. Nowhere why closing of the eye is considered adidaivatam is explained, he says. Probably, if Shankaracharya were to explain, he may say something like adidaivatam specially applies to lightning which is up in the sky, and in the Upanishad certain liberty is taken. The closing of the eye actually belongs to Adhyatmam, which the next mantra takes up. He might just acknowledge a little placing issue, sequence issue. In fact, Sachidanandendra Saraswati also mentions iti and it to be explained should have been explained before even Nemimishat was explained. Because in the mantra iti and it comes before Nemimishat. So sometimes Bhashyakaras and sometimes Tippanakaras look at the mantras with very great care and they point out little bit sequence issues. No serious issue, sequence. You explain what appears later first and you explain what came first later. So that's all right. You just take note of it and go further. Now the slides are over, but I will now give you certain 4 mantras are covered, and today we will cover 5th and 6th mantra also. The 5th mantra is a third upasana. What does the 5th mantra say? I suppose many of you have the original Upanishad, not the Shānkarabhāshya maybe. The 5th mantra says, Ata Adhyatmam. Once more, Adhyatma begins with the body. If I touch my nose, if I do some pranayama, holding my nose, breathing from right nostril, breathing out from left nostril, that's an Adhyatma scenario, my body. Whereas, if other living beings, human beings, animals, etc., or cosmic forces, thunder, lightning, etc., you know, are described, that is Adi Bhautika, animals, plants, other human beings, Adi Daivika. Whereas once it comes to my body, even if it is my nails, it is Adhyatma. It is said, the mantra says, number 5, Ata Adhyatmam Yadetat Gacchati Iva Cha Manaha Anena Chaitad Upasmarati Abhikshnam Sankalpaha. As simple as this is explained in the Bhashya. I am giving you the summary of it. You may think of Brahma with great regard, with great excitement. How? Think of those rishis who actually were able to contemplate on Brahma. You and I don't know how to contemplate on Brahma. The very image of a rishi in deep meditation on Brahma inspires us. Like Bhartrahari in his Vairagya Shataka says, calling rishis and munis dhanyas, very blessed ones. Dhanyanam girikandareshu vasatam jyoti param dhyayatam anandashru kanan pibanti shakunaha nishankamankeshayaha. It seems the rishis and munis are meditating on God and filled with happiness. There are tears of joy rolling down their cheeks and they are lost in contemplation even as the tears fall down. Shakunaha, small birds come and sit on their thighs. They drink those drops of tears. This is Bhartrhari's description. You and I may read that shloka. Nishankam ankeshayaha shakunaha pibanti anandashrukana. But do we know what Brahma and how the rishis are contemplating? We have no idea. But the picture of rishis meditating in that fashion itself inspired. One day I hope to meditate like that. But now Shankaracharya raises a question. After all is said and done in this very Upanishad, it was very clearly said, mind cannot go to Brahma. Mind can never objectify Brahma. How come in this Upasana it is said, think of Brahma as that which the mind of rishis contemplates on? Not rishis' mind or anybody's mind. Mind cannot touch Brahma. But then Shankaracharya gives an interesting example. He says, yes, technically mind cannot touch Brahma. But if the rishis and munis, as Bhartrhari's description went, are seen to be having tears of joy, their mind is doing something which others are not able to do. Their mind goes to a certain height. Then maybe the understanding is not on the plane of the mind. Doesn't matter. But the mind did play a role. Swami Chinmayananda used to say, the mind is like the pole that a pole vaulter uses. The pole vaulter, the athlete, takes the pole, runs a distance, plants it on the ground, goes to a certain height, and when he actually crosses over, he may push the pole back. That's a different story. But the pole came handy. That way, technically, though the mind can never objectify Brahma, that the mind can go to great heights in this context of Brahma should inspire us. And not only once, Abhikshnam. The mantra says, Abhikshnam Sankalpaha. Abhikshnam literally means Punapunaha. Punapunaha, the person who has done a lot of study, lot of manana, lot of satsanga, lot of sadhanas, purifying the mind, that lady or that man will be able to again and again think of Brahma and maybe contemplate on how it is not object of mind. Then let go of that attempt and just stay as Brahma. Tasya smritihi tatra dridhaiva nishta. He said, we have quoted it before. So that makes it, you can consider mind going to Brahma, that grandeur about that exercise. One more upasana, and it is adhyatmam. And then there is one more in the last paragraph we shall see for this class. And let me read the mantra in the Upanishad proper. Tadha tadvanam nama tadvanam iti upasitavyam saya etadeva veda abhiha enam sarvani bhutani samvanchanti. This is the fourth upasana given. What was the first one? Like lightning. What was the second one? Closing of the eye. What was the third one? We had mind of great souls reaching higher and higher levels. Then, of course, letting go. The mind takes a back seat. The rishi just stays as awareness. That in upasana need not be considered. So the third one is mind as though objectifying Brahma. The fourth one is tadvanam iti upasita. And Shankaracharya in his commentary makes it clear right away. He says it is through guna. Tasya tadvanam nama tadvanam iti upasitavya. The Upanishad mantra doesn't bring the word guna. So Tadvanam, though it is a name, some people interpret it as Nama Upasana. Like these days, do people do Upasana Rama, 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 Rama. Or as this lecture is going on, it is Shivaratri. People say Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Nama, mantra. But Shankaracharya's commentary seems to indicate more than the name, which of course is connected with the guna. What is to be highlighted is guna. The first sentence in his bhashya is Tasya cha adhyatmam upasane gunaha vidiyate. What is the guna? Guna means attribute. The guna is, if you take the word tadvanam, tat means tadetad brahma, and vanam means vanam sambhajaniyam. There is a verbal root one which becomes vanati, and vanatehe tat karmanaha, says Bhashyaka. Gam becomes gachati, and gacchatehe, as though gachati is like Hari Shabda, you make it harehe, gacchatehe, then you give the meaning. Gacchatehe gamanarthaha, gamanam iti artha. Vanatehe tat karmanaha. One, vanati means sambhajanam. Bhajana itself means adoring, loving. When Meera sang her bhajans on Sri Krishna, what was the essence? What was the guna? She was not so much giving high priority to poetry or words or alankara, literature, sahitya. By Sri Krishna's grace, she had all of them in place. But you and I can imagine, Meera essentially, primarily, above all, was filled with love of Sri Krishna. Like that, Vanam means bhajaniyam, sambhajaniyam. Brahmano hi gaunam idam nama. Tadvana is a name and it is gaunam here means guna sambandhi. It indicates a guna. It indicates a certain attribute. So, how does this help? The mantra stops there. It says sarve sarvani bhutani samvanchanti. If somebody goes on admiring Brahma as most lovable, normally what do we do? A beautiful house makes us very happy. Oh, I may get it one day. Gold, some fame, some name. There are so many attractions of the world. Depending on our vasanas, our sanskaras, our weaknesses, something makes us raise our eyebrows. Somebody attached to tea, masala chai, afternoon 3:34, going somewhere, and there's a board, masala chai available. His face lights up. That is called you become happy. Now Brahma, calling it Tadvanam, is what makes the Upasaka. The topic is this is the fourth Upasana. The Upasaka is so delighted. He doesn't know Brahma actually what it is, but doesn't matter. He has got Shraddha. He has got an eager to know. Shraddhavan labate jnanam. He is in the right direction. And above all, to say a couple of last comments, this Upasaka, as he tries to think of Brahma on his own level, which is not all that high, doesn't matter, as he contemplates on Brahma, he bears in mind that Brahma is most lovable, more lovable than cars and houses, gold and diamonds, fame and name, travel, or so many other enjoyments. More lovable. Okay, so if one is thus contemplating on Brahma, various ways Chitta Shuddhi takes place. But the Upanishad mantra highlights another aspect of what happens. Actually, the Chitta Shuddhi is the main thing. by karma yoga and upasana, Shastras are very clear. You and I get chitta shuddhi and chitta ekagrata. In our bhranti, in our brahma, many a time we spend years and decades not realizing that our mind wanders so much. Though occasionally we say, my mind wanders. But next moment we are not bothered about it. Next moment when our mind is running towards some sense objects, we in fact are running with the mind. If we are really concerned about our mind wandering during our japa, tapa and so on, we should be aghast. We should be very uncomfortable when the mind goes towards a sense object. But we are not. That's why I'm calling it a bhranti. Worldliness is a madness. Worldliness is something where somebody as though has drunk some wine, somebody to whom some ghost has entered, or somebody whom a scorpion has bitten, then that person behaves abnormally. Worldliness makes us behave abnormally. Whereas when we do seva, that is satkarma, that is karma yoga, even God's worship is one form of karma yoga, or upasana, such as the upasanas mentioned here, or modern times, Om Namah Shivaya, or there is Shakti Upasana, Sri Chakra Upasana. Learn some form of upasana, which may involve some physical gestures, which may involve a mantra, which may involve some visualization, which may involve sitting in a certain direction, which may involve wearing certain dress, putting some bindi or some basma or something, which may involve quite a few things. Upasana is a vast field, but everybody doesn't have to know every form of upasana. Pick up an upasana or two and do it seriously, do it sincerely. You will find chitta shuddhi. But the mantra here talks about another aspect without denying chitta shuddhi or chitta ekagrata, purification and single pointedness, which are of great value. The mantra here says, mantra itself says, Sarvani Bhutani Samvanchanti. And Shankaracharya explains it, saying, Sarvani Bhutani Enam Upasakam Abhisamvanchanti. This lady, that Upasaki or Upasika, she is lost in her love of God on her own level. But something wonderful happens. With her knowledge or without her knowledge, maybe after some time of misunderstanding, eventually everybody loves her. Everybody admires her. Everybody adores her. Everybody wants to come and be near her. The stories of Mahatmas, one after another, show that they did go through a period of being misunderstood in the society. In modern times, Mata Amritanandamayi, the hugging mother, was misunderstood to be entered into by a ghost. So her family brings those exorcists who come with some uh, sticks or some branches or twigs of a plant with some leaves also. They beat her, saying the booth has to come out. And various ways they troubled her. Her name was Sudhamani. Sudhamani was troubled various ways. But the day came when all of them who tried to trouble her, because they misunderstood her, one by one they become fond of her. A cousin of hers says, I will finish her off. And he comes with a lethal weapon, some iron rod or something, and is about to strike her. Mata Amritanandamayi Amma's organization has made a short movie or documentary on this, of course, with actors playing the role. In that they show that young man very angry with her because they think she is abnormal, she has to be brought on track. He raises that iron rod and is about to strike. He gets a paralytic attack exactly at that moment. and the iron rod falls upon his own head. And then he begins to cry, "What happened to me? I'm not able to move my hand." She is thinking of Krishna, 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 and so on. So we don't have to go to that high level of miracles. In various other simple ways also, we may have to pass through a period where people misunderstand us. But eventually, Sarvani Bhutani Enam Upasakam Avisamvanchanti Iha Abhisambhajante Sevante. They do seva. Seva. The very same people who troubled her before later were ready to run and do errands for her. Yata guna upasanam phalam. That's the last sentence in Shānkarabhāshya. The guna contained in Tadvanam, that nama, is lovableness. And if you do upasana of Brahma with that lovableness as the main quality of Brahma, you become lovable. Yata guna upasanam hi phalam. The phalam is in line with or aligned with the attribute of the upasya. Yata upasyasya gunaha tata eva upasakasya gunaha bhavati. If you adore an angry man, after some time you become an angry man. If you adore a calm person, knowingly or unknowingly, your adoring that calm person makes you calmer and calmer. If you adore somebody who loves movies, after some time you are also going to movies. What you adore seeps into you, gets into you. Yata gunopasanam hi phalam, tata eva phalam is implied. In this way, we have completed 6 mantras out of the 9 mantras in the fourth kanda. The other 3 mantras have a very, very humorous, interesting scenario. One boy comes and says, "Please teach me Upanishad." All this time Upanishad only was taught, but he probably was so distracted, so dull-witted. And how the Guru tackles him will be in the last 3 mantras. We see next Friday, and we complete Kena-Upanishad with vākya-bhāshya with that. Om Namah Paramarashibhyo Namah Paramarashibhyaha.